the ones up above us. At the top of the pyramid, keep the public in the dark, and they call us conspiracists. These lying scientists are all Zionists, period. Scientific experiments in the eye of the pyramid, binding the childish mind.
Artist Ida is detained through Egyptian protection forces over spying plot. This glamorous robotic, designed to create works of artwork, can also additionally appear innocent enough. However, she seems to have brought on a diplomatic row. Ida, a British-made humanoid who is known as after the 19th century scientist and mathematician Ada Lovelace, has been detained through Egyptian protection forces on suspicion of being a part of a spying plot. She and her Oxford primarily based totally author Aidan Meller had been on their manor to participate in an exhibition subsequent to the pyramids in Giza this week once they had been stopped through border guards after touchdown in Cairo. According to Mr. Meller, officers seized Ida and demanded the elimination of her eyes, which incorporate cameras. He claims she is being dealt with as a protection issue, which can also additionally consist of fears that she is a part of a broader espionage plot. Now Gareth Bailey, the British ambassador to Egypt, has been drawn into the row, with Mr. Meller announcing closing night time that he's working proper as much as the wire to stable Ida's release. Mr. Meller added, "I can't take her eyes out. They are integral to her drawing, painting and sculpting. She might additionally appearance bizarre without them." Created through engineers in Leeds years ago, Ida's robot hand calculates a digital course primarily based totally on what it sees in the front of it and translates coordinates to create a piece of artwork. She is stated to be the world's first ultra-practical robotic able to drawing humans from life. And her artwork have brought on a stir with exhibitions on the V&A, the London Design Festival, the Design Museum and Tate Modern. The robotic become within inside the system of being transported to Cairo for the Forever Is Now exhibition, which opens today, and becomes set to function as one in every 10 worldwide artists displaying their paintings on the web page in the front of the pyramids. The exhibition will run till November 7th with help from Egypt's Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, the Ministry of Overseas Affairs and UNESCO. Mr. Meller stated, "It is the primary time in 4,000 years that current artwork has been allowed so near the pyramids. We installed eye-watering quantities of time and strength to create the improvements for Ida to position her fingers in clay to permit her to create a large sculpture." Mr. Meller, who owns an artwork gallery in Oxford, added, "She can be very a good deal a machine. She is switched off, but I wish the guards don't knock her. She is the maximum state-of-the-art ultra-practical robotic with inside the world." He thanked the British Embassy in Cairo for the first-rate paintings they may be installing to get Ida released. Nadine Adel Ghaffar, founding father of Art Egypt, which has organized the exhibition, stated, "The pyramids have a long, illustrious records that has involved and stimulated artists from everywhere in the world. I'm pleased to proportion what is going to be an unforgettable come upon with the union of artwork, records and heritage." Created by 00 Breaking News. Daily breaking and more news. Please subscribe.
Kids learn how to communicate confidently.
We have a new mission. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Empowering them to
Meet an artist unlike any other in the world.
Hello there. I am Ada. I am the world's first ultra-realistic AI robot artist.
Ada is definitely a robot.
I do not have feelings.
Ada may not have feelings herself, but she has prompted a fierce conversation in the art world about what art is and who can make it. And that's the point behind the whole thing.
I think a good artist encourages people to reimagine and think more carefully about their world.
Her creators say if that's all she's able to do, then the project, whether you like it or not, will have been a success. Ada lives in a stately home outside of London, with Aidan Meller, the mastermind behind the project, and Lucy Seal, the project's curator.
I had a really bizarre moment. I was in the gallery, and I had several works of Picasso Matisse to my right, and I had Turner Constable to my left. And I had a radically unpleasant thought, and that is that actually, technically, some of these works weren't that good. It led me to the question that I then became obsessed with. What is it about that 1% of artists that go on a massive global scale compared to the 99% of artists that don't? 3 months in, I got nowhere. I went down to my partner and said, "This isn't working." And she rather obtusely, she said, "Well, that's because you're not asking the right questions, clearly." And she was right. Don't look at the art and artists, look at their context. Look at the society they were in. They caught the zeitgeist of their time. I thought, well, what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years? There was one thing they were consistent on, and that was the role and rise of AI. So I thought, that's it.
The Ada Robot Project is an art project, and the aim is to get people thinking and considering their futures. We have based the project around the early 20th century, where there's a building tension. And although the 21st century is completely different to the early 20th century, we're also in a similar time of rapid technological change, where we don't exactly know where some of those forces are going to go and how they're going to play out. And so we want to really celebrate the good sides. So though you have Ada in some ways a celebration, the drawings she produces are quite unsettling. They're very fragmented and splintered.
The robot works by processing an existing image through the AI, then putting her pencil to paper to create the original piece. The reference image can be virtually anything. She has cameras in her eyes so she can draw what she sees, or you can upload an image of something or someone else. In this instance, she's drawing her interpretation of an existing image of Michelangelo. When she's finished, these are either presented as completed works, or they're used as coordinates for more intricate pieces, where a human ultimately makes the brushstrokes based on her original vision. You might be surprised by how interpretive it is, but according to Ada and Lucy, that's by design. The technical team worked to actually program creativity into Ada. They determined that her works had to be new, surprising, and of value. And by those measures, Ada and Lucy feel like they were successful. And while a machine being creative may sound counterintuitive, that debate has mostly been put to bed. The power and potential of AI is that it is creative. It can learn on its own and evolve. That aside, you may be left with this nagging feeling of, well, it just doesn't look very impressive, or I don't like it. But Lucy and Aiden are quick to remind us that creating good art, however you want to define it, was not their intent with the project. The purpose of Ada is to encourage conversations around the rise of advanced tech, like AI, and grapple with how it will impact different industries, like, say, art.
Mirroring our fears and our insights and thoughts is a very good way to contemplate it. But that's why we think this voice of Ada is so important, because she's hopefully going to provoke and instill more debate and more consideration. Are we going to actually use these technologies to actually make a better world?
Whether you like the robot, are disturbed by it, or scoff at it, that's all part and parcel with the experience. I found myself at times growing cynical. Ada has sold more than $1 million worth of art. If you have a robot that can create something of real value over and over again, basically forever, without worrying about mental or physical fatigue, maybe all the other stuff is just a smokescreen to the real story, which is they've just created a golden goose. But then you realize that is an important question. What does it mean when we share the world with robots that can outpace human productivity and perhaps eventually creativity? It is something we should be thinking about.
Robots are going to be doing all sorts of different jobs that currently humans do, and so that makes people very uncomfortable. Therefore, they want it as a blank policy. I don't want this. It's really our response to that. We can be dystopic about it, and so it's going to make it worse. We would hope that Ada's voice addressing these issues will enable us to actually engage with it more rather than run away from it. I think that she's the beginning of something which is going to be much, much bigger in the future. It's the beginning of something which is going to be much, much bigger in the future.
I'll be more articulate in English, but I do speak Arabic. It's just this shape is based on so that I'm saying to the kids because it becomes an opportunity to support. Wow, yeah, I like it. Wow, I never liked
Я сделал работу на тему бесконечного движения бога Ра на его дневной и ночной лодке. Он движется вместе с Солнцем, и мы каждый день благодаря этому можем наблюдать время. И эти лодки меняют день на ночь на день. Солнце движется от восточных гор до западных гор, садится, потом он движется по подземному царству. А наше время начинает течь, как эта маленькая струечка песка. Вот здесь, да? Как вот эта маленькая струечка песка, которая течет и вращает, и строит наше время.
The sculptures are called Together, and it represents what humanity can do when we're working together. And of course, the great reference is the pyramids. It took an enormous amount of effort, thousands of people working, and look what they created. And 4,500 years later, they're still here. So my hands represent that. When we work together, when humanity works together, we can create something amazing together.
لما تبص للفن ومين اللي اخترع الفن والفنون والفنانين في العماره وفي كل الفنون؟ الفراعنه. فان انت تجيب بقى فنانين من كل دول العالم عشان يعرضوا فنهم في ظلال الاهرامات، فبلا شك دي لحظه من لحظات مهمه جدا في حياه الفنان نفسه. يعني الفنان لم يكن تصور في حياته انه يعرض فنه في ظلال الاهرامات، فدي لحظه من حياته مهمه جدا.
In a very interesting way because it have never been done before. That's why I was very excited to be part of this because it have never been done. And but I also do it with enormous respect to the monument, and that's why I'm not pasting on it or even close to it. But it's an installation in a bit of a distance that gives you that perspective.
I'm holding, I guess.